Galaxy Digital is leveraging the benefits of DeFi infrastructure to offer over-the-counter option trades settled entirely on chain. So what does this mean? Jason Urban, Galaxy Digital Global Head of Trading, joins us now to discuss. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for being here. So let's start off with the obvious question. Why fully on-chain OTC?
I think that one thing that 2022 has told us is that DeFi performed exceedingly well, while CeFi and some of the traditional methodologies for transacting had some challenges. And so I think as people look at where progress is going, this is the future. And so it's increasingly important when you think about the evolution of all these markets to find ways to get on chain, and also to take the derivatives market, which is significantly larger in traditional assets than the spot market. We should see the same things inside of the crypto ecosystem. And so this is a very important part of that.
So I've got to ask, this of course is going to be, it's settled on the blockchain, but will there be, who has regulatory oversight over it?
So, like anything, you're doing your best to triangulate inside of the regulatory matrix that we have. So everything that we did here was highly compliant. We went through what I'll call traditional methodologies. Trading via is the known, tried and true methodology, but this is the first step to making, to taking that and bringing it on chain. So it had a TradFi feel, but it also had a very on-chain component to it.
Well, would it be regulated by U.S. regulators, or how exactly would it be regulated if it's on chain?
Well, I think it's a function of where the participants are located, right? I think that that's one thing that we have got clarity on from a regulatory perspective, is that where mind and matter is going to be where the laws of that jurisdiction are going to dictate. So at the end of the day, it's very important to to understand where you're operating, where your counterparties are operating, and what laws are going to apply to that.
So I mean, conceivably, though, in this situation, then you would have, let's say 180 different regulators, if not more, dealing with this, correct? I mean, how would you, if, let's say, I'm a Canadian national, and or Jen's a Canadian national, and she transacts with someone from Azerbaijan. So, is it U.S., is it Canada, is it Azerbaijani? Who's regulating? It would just be Canadian, Azerbaijani regulators?
Lawrence, that's a great question. I think that it's really I think that all three of those regulatory bodies are going to say we have the right to regulate. I think it's going to be incumbent on all the participants in that transaction, whether it's the buyer, the seller, the technological layer. In the case of this transaction, everyone's going to have to be cognizant of what their requirements are and how they do that. And I think that applies to everything right now. That isn't just unique to on-chain derivatives. It's all on-chain. It's all of this. We have to be thoughtful. I think that's one of the things at Galaxy that we've really worked hard at, thinking about. You're
domiciled in the U.S., correct? Even though it's Canadian listed stock, you're in the U.S.?
Yep, that is correct.
So I mean, are U.S. regulators involved in this?
To the extent that we traded this via ISDA and under a CSA, it was done in full compliance with all rules and regs applying to that, for the U.S. regulators.
Speaking of U.S. regulators, CEO Mike Novogratz has sort of suggested that they'll be moving more operations offshore because of kind of U.S. regulatory headaches. I'm just curious if you could sort of weigh in on that question. That's becoming an increasingly hot topic among crypto companies.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've been actually at the forefront of for a long time, and we kind of have seen some of this coming. I think our risk-forward nature of Galaxy, the things that allowed us to thrive coming out of 2022 and the craziness of that, we've already taken steps to move a large portion of our trading and operations and sales functions offshore. And so, to the extent that activities are, have to be done offshore, we fully comply. I think that you're seeing that everywhere. I think the recent announcements from some of the other major market participants is indicative of that. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think that this is a game inside of crypto that we've all known for a long time, where it's, understanding where you're operating and the rules and regs of that jurisdiction, and then finding jurisdictions that, give you a clear pathway to doing activity that you want to do.
Let's chat about the earnings report that was just released. Your Q1 earnings were reported at $134 million in net income. That's compared to net losses of $111 of the same quarter last year. What's your outlook on the trading business? Where do you see the company going from here?
From a trading business perspective, like I said, 2022 was a very difficult year for a lot of the people in the industry, and a lot of our competitors have fallen on harder times, and I think that Galaxy has naturally been the beneficiary of that. We have a strong balance sheet, a very strong risk culture, and so because of that, I think people are starting to value that. Broadly speaking, there are headwinds in the industry as a whole right now. I think we're all seeing it, we're all feeling it, and as we navigate that just means that we have to be better for the business that we are doing, and we're up to the challenge there. So I'm obviously optimistic.
And lastly, everyone is talking about Mika this week. I know Galaxy Digital is teaming up with asset manager DWS to offer exchange-traded products for listing in Europe. What's your outlook on Mika as it pertains to our regulation chat?
I think that the big thing, as you think about this, there are going to be winners in the regulatory space, and there are going to be losers in the regulatory space, and that goes for governments and countries. And I think you're seeing some jurisdictions taking a forward approach, or at least a thoughtful approach, while others are taking more draconian. And so anytime there's guardrails, I think that regulated businesses like ours are encouraged by it, because it at least tells us what we can and can't do, and we have to stay within those lines. It's when there are no lines, or it's ruled by enforcement, that it's difficult, because you have to guess at what the future implications of an action are, and nobody wants to do that. I'm not Kruskin. I can't figure out what they're going to say is rule or not rule 2 years from now. So I think anytime there's rules, we're highly encouraged.
Jason, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That was Galaxy Digital Global Head of Trading, Jason Urban.